Well, hello all. No walks today. Alright, so what are we going to talk about today? Let's go over to the board, talk about a new methane release that's been discovered just lately over in Africa. So, methane pulses have been detected in Africa from South Sudan wetlands. This might explain parts of the recent growth in methane levels in the atmosphere. From 2010 to 2016 is when the large methane plumes happened and the CH4 started to go up. More pulses in 2007 and in 2014. CH4 is now climbing rapidly to just over 1,860 parts per billion. Likely sources of other emissions would be human-caused. Agriculture and fossil fuel use is also adding to the growth of methane. So you can't expect to stop eating. So agricultural methane is going to be with us for almost as long as I'm alive. You'd have to stop all the fertilization that's taking place. You'd have to change the crops so that they're more like they used to be before they were genetically altered or other ways of altering the way plants grow, such as selecting only a certain type of plant and going with it. All this kind of agriculture has to come to an end, unfortunately, to stop the methane growth that is rapidly growing right now. There is a place you could stop and help to stop methane, and that's with fossil fuel. Fracking is causing huge amounts of methane plumes throughout the US, Canada, and other countries that are now dabbling in such a horrible situation as stabbing our earth and blowing it up really far down underneath. We're just so destructive with our planet. But you can drive less. You can use less plastic. You can travel on your vacations locally and save all that fossil fuel use. If everyone did that, we could probably even flatten out the methane, or at least get it a lot lower than it is now. But that's not all that's happening. So we're going to cover a lot of things in this video session today. Let's go over and see how Fukushima has been doing. You remember not too long ago there was an earthquake and tsunami in Nihon, or Japan, and it came in and destroyed the Fukushima nuclear plant, which then melted down and blew up. 4 buildings worth, spreading. Well, let's go over to the board and we'll get the details. So the Fukushima plant itself, the workers have reduced the radiation levels by quite a bit. Radioactive material spread over a huge area, 9,000 square kilometers or 3,500 square miles. Cesium-137 is down by 80% over this area, but this has generated massive amounts of radioactive material waste. 20 million cubic topsoil have been removed. That's the way they're reducing it. They're just taking off about 2 inches of topsoil throughout that whole area of 3,500 square miles. Can you imagine the waste that's going to cause? So let's keep going here. So cesium-137 has a half-life of 30.17 years. Now what is a half-life? Well, half-life is talking about how long it's radioactive, this material. So once it reaches 30 years and you've reached the half-life, then you have another 30 years to reach the next half-life and another 30 years to reach the next half-life. In other words, it never goes away. So this is half-life. Then the next time, that's the half-life. Then the next time, that's the half-life. Then the next time, this is the half-life. So it keeps going down at an angle, but it will never completely go away. So the big problem is where to put all this radioactive topsoil. Well, they put it somewhere else. So what you're really doing is you're cleaning up some of the area, some of the way. It's still too radioactive to go to or anything. And then you're taking this radioactive material and putting it somewhere else, making that area radioactive. So this whole thing, I think, is more of a mirage. You know what I mean? They take the material and put it somewhere else, and then they say how they've cleaned up the area about 80%. When really all they've done is just moved it from one place to another. It really isn't cleaned up. It has to clean up itself by decay over hundreds or thousands or millions of years. That's why nuclear power is such a bad idea. Just look at, we've only had 2 or 3 meltdowns, and each area is just absolutely destroyed by radiation, by radioactivity. Except for 3 Mile Island. I don't know what the status is there. I know I wouldn't live there. Okay, some more bad news for the environment. It was discovered that just lately, Donald Trump Jr. went to Mongolia and shot an endangered sheep, a bighorn sheep. This was illegal at the time that he did this. So of course, Daddy Trump gave him permission to do that after the fact. Isn't it lovely how the super wealthy get to do anything they want against the law, and they'll always get permission to do it because they're special? Donald Trump Jr. had to kill an endangered sheep. Why would anybody in their right mind want to kill an endangered animal? Where's the thrill? How would you get such an animal all the way back to the U.S.? How much fossil fuel did it take? What, a couple helicopters, refrigeration? What a waste. These wealthy people, I can't stand them. They don't get me started. Blood pressure. Okay, next I wanted to do an update on the video that I did last time. We talked about the satellites. Well, now there's going to be 44,000 of them put up into space. It's called Starlink. This is a SpaceX idea to fill the skies with endless low-orbiting satellites. Some as low as 550 miles. That's very, very low. Now, these satellites are built flat, like a table, with a solar panel stuck on the end. Now, they're launched in multiples of many, many satellites all get launched at the same time out of one rocket. So you may launch 60 or 30 or 40 at a time, whatever they're still working on the project. My problem is what a colossal waste. Every solar panel takes rare earth elements, a lot of it, to make. These satellites have lots of rare earths in them for the electronics and all. They're built of very special metals. So what will happen when these start to decay their orbit? Well, they say between 3 and 4 years they will decay and burn up in the atmosphere, and they'll have to be replaced. That is such a colossal waste in itself. Just so you can get the phone and the internet wherever you go on planet Earth, we're willing to put all this junk up into space. 44,000 satellites that will all burn up into space. Now, do you think that they'll burn completely up? 44,000. Isn't there a chance that some of this material will make it down? And with that much in space coming down all the time, raining down on us? What, are we insane or something? And people actually think this is a good thing. It's not a good thing. We do not need the phone everywhere we go. We do not need the internet everywhere we go. There can be some pristine areas. on the planet left without phones, computers, laptops, and so on and so forth. Can't there be? Now, SpaceX is telling us that they're going to try and reduce the reflectivity from these satellites so we don't see them so easily during the launching and the deployment of these. They're going to be covering 30% of the sky with satellites. That's just so stupid. But at least they're going to work on the problem of reflectivity. I guess that's a good thing. Now, one of my commenters on my video, AUM, says that I'm beginning to become more doomer-like. Well, that's not my fault that the people refuse to do anything about fixing problems, such as Fukushima, where they just spread the radiation all over the place and then say it's fixed. Well, that's not how you fix it. You don't make it in the first place, so you don't have to spread it around to get rid of it. The doomerism is coming from what is happening. I don't make up the news. I'm the messenger. I have told people over and over that we still have a chance, which we do, but we have to actually use this thing inside this thing here, and we have to reduce our population. That's number one. Number two, we must reduce our use of fossil fuel. And number three, we need to move from outdoor agriculture to indoor agriculture so that the land can start to clean itself. Everything that's sprayed on the land ends up getting down into the water table eventually. That's just the way that works. Gravity pulls everything down. And eventually, all the spray, billions of gallons of it, is all going to go down into the water table. This needs to end now, because water, clean water, is going to be a thing that won't be around too much in the future. And that, again, that's not me saying that. That's the science saying that. It's up to us to stop abusing our planet and start treating it like it was something that it is, a very rare thing in the universe. And there isn't another one that we can just hop over. We can't just go over to Mars and start living there. Who wants to live in Mars? You're constantly inside all the time. You can't go outside. There's no fresh air, nothing, no animals. Why would you want to go to Mars instead of fixing planet Earth? So, that's my doomer video for today. I'm sorry it's a doomer. It's not my fault. It's just the way humans are. And I can't do anything about that. You people know what you have to do to fix things. And one of those is to tell other people in a nice way what they can do to help. And they help by telling their friends how to help. It can't be done any other way. You can't rely on the government, especially the U.S. government. So on the day that hopefully Jeremy Corbyn has been elected Prime Minister of the UK, and soon Bernie Sanders will be as well, and we won't have to worry about all this because we will have better heads in office. I appreciate all the ups, the downs, the new subscribers, and the comments. I like the comments better. I've tried making some comments and they seem to be working now. I got rid of that one filter and most of the problem seems to be ending. So go ahead, leave a comment, and until next time.